I had a guy after a cold plunge who wanted to go, warm his junk over the fire, and like that was cool, man. Like just go for it. You know what I mean? Like
do your thing.
Persistence culture. Persistence, firm or obstinate continuance in a course of action in spite of difficulty or opposition. Culture, the customs, arts, social institutions, and achievements of a particular nation, people, or other social group.
Keep moving. This is Persistence Culture. We are Ventura County's premier podcast. It is Mambo and Brian back at the yellow table. What is up, Brian?
Mambo, welcome back, man.
Welcome back. You went on a well, it was supposed to be a good trip, but
supposed to be a good trip.
Yeah.
It was still a good trip, but yeah, we went to Lovers and Friends in Vegas, like you know, and it got canceled.
Yeah, man. I was dealing with a couple of our winners, and that wasn't fun. But man, it sucks when I don't think people understand that people save up money for this event.
Oh, geez, I know.
They go out of their way to
Yes.
to take days off, and for it to get canceled, it really sucks, man.
Yeah, I was out there with the wind, and there was no wind. Yeah, like on Saturday, I was like, this is not that bad. But the worst part of it, we actually forgot our tickets at home. We got all the way to the airport. We're about to board. And then we were like, oh, shit, we got to go get those tickets. So we changed our flight, went back home, went back, and they were like, all right, cool, we're good. And then Friday night, they were like, hey, we canceled the show. And we're
Wow.
like, yo.
Oh,
really?
man. Yeah, well.
We got some cool bracelets out of it, so that's fine.
And hopefully you get your refund too, right?
Yeah, we got a refund, but.
All right, man. Well, we're back at it at the yellow table. And, of course, we always bring you the great guest. And today we have another guest, and go ahead and introduce yourself.
All right. Thank you, guys. My name is Antonio Mazzola, and I'm here to talk about Primal Polar Bear Adventures.
Nice.
If you guys don't mind, I'd actually want to start this off the way I would start off any men's group meeting. We could all just do a quick meditation. Just close your eyes really quick.
All right.
Take a big breath in through your nose, out through the mouth. One more breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. And as you sit there breathing, just relax your eyes, your cheeks, your shoulders, your chest, your belly button, 2 inches below your belly button, your legs, your knees. And as you take another breath in, ask yourself this question: who's here now if there's no problem to solve? All right, guys, let's do one more breath in. Hold it for a sec. When you let out with a little sigh. All right, and come back in when you're ready, guys. Awesome.
Man, I almost went to sleep.
Yeah, that was very relaxing. We never started our podcast out like that.
Just to kind of bring us all in the room, bring us here together.
Yeah.
So, awesome, guys. So
tell us about what you do.
Okay, well, there's a lot. So I'll start off like I have a day job. I work for Trader Joe's. I've been there like 21 years at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a full-time college student at Cal State Northridge for mechanical engineering. I'm a dad. I have 2 boys. I lead a men's group for a group called Man Talks. I also am a breathwork facilitator for another group called Inner World. And then my own business or my own company I'm here to talk about is Primal Polar Bear Adventures, which is men's backpacking retreats.
Wow. So you're not busy at all.
No.
That's a lot.
I don't
Stuff.
like to say busy. I say the schedule's full. That's
That's a good way to put it.
Busy seems dismissive.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
So this technique that we started with, is this something that you do with a lot of the things you're involved in?
Yeah, it's a way so what I would follow up with that is have you guys go a little further, check in with yourselves, notice any anxieties coming up, excitements, and how that shows up in your body. So whether it's like in your chest, your neck, your stomach, and then to go into like a couple questions about it, maybe some discussion about what's going on. It just depends, everyone's different. Everything shows up differently for people. But an easy question to ask someone is like above and below, and what that is above is the easy to access emotion, and below is like what's underneath. So like right now, above, probably excited, and below, I'm feeling pretty grounded. So that's in, just go around like about all the men in a group, and everyone checks in really quick like that, just to see what's there.
So when you started that, were you doing that yourself as a participant, and then you decided to dive into it yourself? Or?
Yeah, one of the groups I'm a part of, the guy who leads that was one of his techniques, and it seemed really powerful, and it brings everyone together and just shows like, hey, we're all feeling something right now. Don't be afraid, don't be shy. Let's open up, let's connect. So it's a good way. It's a good icebreaker.
Yeah, definitely,
for sure. So.
And how did you get into like the breathing techniques and all that?
So again, I've been doing like men's work for probably about 5 or 6 years now, and along this journey, I like to call it my hero's journey, right? Like slaying dragons and going along here. But I've met a lot of interesting people and connected with a lot of interesting people all over the world, and discovered breathwork with a guy from Canada, and then started working with him as a mentor just in facilitating breathwork groups. It's digital, but like we'll meet on Zoom, and 4 or 5, 6, 7 people show up, whoever's around. But yeah, that's it. I mean, it's all kinds of different stuff. Sometimes it's put on a video with someone else. Sometimes it's whatever feels right in that moment. So it's breathing. It's not too bad, or it's hard to mess up.
Yeah. I think I've mentioned it on one of the episodes where I tried it, and man, it was like the best rest that I got, and it was like emotional. It was there was so much that went on, and by the end of it, it's like the best rest I ever got.
Yeah, there's like I like it for the transported side, I'll call it. Doing like an hour-long breathwork session, it feels like I'm somewhere else in the universe and like don't want to come back. So it's pretty, that's actually where like the primal part of my name comes from. It's more of the, not like the go out and eat meat and kill stuff. It's like the sit with yourself, use what is given to you in your body. If you fast for a few days and do a gnarly breathwork session, like that's a whole different
transformative.
It's a way different experience. So it's pretty powerful.
Yeah, and then when we started with the meditation, I know we talk about it when it comes up in other episodes too. Like I started meditating in the morning, like right after I get out of bed, before I do anything else, and that's another way of when you wake up, you think I got some rest, but sometimes the meditation helps even more to stay focused and get the day started.
Yeah.
No, it's a really valuable part of like a daily routine. I think it's just sitting with yourself for a few minutes, just checking in, see where I'm at. I mean, I think it's any time of the day, even just a few minutes, before coming in here or going to work, or a good practice for a lot of, like I'm a dad, it's before I'm switching gears to like going into being with my sons. It's like, hey, let me meditate for a minute, let go of whatever bullshit I'm hanging on to from school or from work. Like, let me focus in and be present for them right now. So.
Right. And what was the reason that you wanted to start this men's what is it, like a retreat, camping, or what would you call it?
I'd say I like to call it a rite of passage.
Okay.
It's something that's like a lot of men are missing in our culture today, is being challenged in such a way and pushing through something like they can prove themselves to themselves. I've gone on a lot of solo journeys out in the mountains where, I haven't seen another human for 2 or 3 days, and I've learned the most about myself during that time. And I've been working on sharing that with other people. And so when I take other men out, being able to share that experience, and then being able to get through like a hard hike together, climb a mountain together, and then connect and talk about the emotions that come up, talk about the resistance. Because if you ever hiked with a 40-pound pack going uphill, like it sucks. Like it's never fun, and no matter what kind of shape you're in. And so it's breaking through those walls and pushing those edges for each person. And it shows up different for everyone, and it's then digging into that state with someone. So just sharing that experience that I've had with other people. And it's also a level of like creating a brotherhood with somebody. Like we've been through something hard together,
Right.
and we've overcome together. So.
And how many people go on these hikes with you?
I've done as little as one person and up to like 6 or 7 people. So it's just dependent. I've had like this summer coming up, I have a guy, a coach, it's called IFS coach. He's coming in from Canada, and basically he's doing his work, but I'm facilitating the retreat side of it. Mm-hmm. So he's got his own following of people that are coming out, and I'm providing for him. So I think we have like 9 people at that one.
Wow.
But yeah, it's pretty cool though. Like it's cool to feel, my gifts are worthy of someone else using as well. So it's pretty awesome.
And do you promote this, or how do you get people to be a part of it?
Right now, I have like a small presence on social media. Mm-hmm. I have a website, but a lot of word of mouth, a lot through friends and through people. I think most of us know another man who could use some sort of unlocking, so to speak, or to get out of their own way. So it's most of the people that see me at this point are coming from places like that, just mostly word of mouth.
Right.
So.
Where do you guys usually go for your retreats, and how long do they usually last?
So I have a few different options. I do some local ones up here in the Los Padres Forest. Those usually like 3 days, 2 nights. Usually they're all about 20 miles total of hiking.
Okay.
I go to the Sierras in the summer just because it's cooler up there. But we push a little harder. But it's 4 days and 3 nights out there, and it's a lot of elevation, a lot bigger environment, a lot more like rugged terrain to deal with, but a lot more beauty as well. The rewards are bigger for sure.
Right.
A place I like to go with people is up to like an alpine lake at like 10,000 feet, and it's a huge reward to get there. It takes a lot, and being able to sit there and enjoy what you did, and then also unpack a lot of traumas and emotions and whatever's going on in your life with other guys at your side it's good.
It sounds powerful. Do you recommend people to do it more than once, or is it one of the things where you're just you do it, it's life changing, and then I did my rite of passage and I could do this as a fork in the road?
So part of what I'm doing is I provide all the gear for you guys. Like you're coming in with me, all you have to bring is your clothes and like whatever snacks you like. Basically, I'm providing you lunch and dinner, your backpack, tent, all that stuff. And I'm showing you how to use it. So this could be for someone who's been maybe interested in backpacking, but wasn't quite confident to get out there. So
gotcha.
I'm teaching you the skills and what it takes to get out there, as well as the men's work aspect of it. My hope is for everyone that this will inspire them or give them the confidence to be able to go out and do it by themselves again. So I think my goal is for people, to gain that confidence for themselves.
Okay.
What was the vision before you started it? Is it what you're doing now, or was it different, a total different vision?
Great question. So I went to a men's retreat in like 2019 in Canada, and I remember going there. Like it was super uncomfortable to get there. Like flying to a different country. I had to figure out how to get to a certain place I've never been. So I had to figure out the trains. And then I hopped in a car with a few dudes I never met, in a different country, drove, went on ferries, and then ended up at this place. And that was an awesome experience in itself, just super uncomfortable. But there was this guy, it wasn't the mentor or the coach I went to see, but the guy who was running the house, who was super grounded, like, he was super fit. Up there, they have like a samurai brotherhood. He's part of that. Like, super disciplined guy, like a great someone to look up to for me. And at these times we'd be diving into the men's work and everyone would be crying in tears. This guy would be out like sitting on the dock on the lake, headphones on, like meditating. I was like, that guy's got his shit together. Like, I want to be that guy. So that inspired me to it planted the seed anyways for running like a retreat center of some sort. Right. And not to be the coach, but to be the guy who's, you bring your stuff to me, I'll take care of everything else. But over the next few years, like looking for properties and whatnot, that didn't quite pan out. But my love for the outdoors and my skills with backpacking and my skill set there worked out to where like, hey, let me blend these two together. And so that's how I ended up here, like just being able to provide for other people. So, and provide that experience, like my backpacking experience along with that.
What kind of other tools do you use other than the breath work during the retreats that you feel are pretty powerful? If we wanted to meditate a little longer and get into things, and then some breath work, it just allows more access into emotions and then certain lines of questioning. I think for me, I am not afraid to ask the next question. I'll dig in a little deeper on someone and maybe not push them, but my curiosity will hopefully open up something for someone and let them go down a different path. I mean, while we're out there, obviously go out and cold plunge, because it's alpine ice cold water. It's wonderful. You ever cold plunge before, Mambo?
Never.
Oof. It's an experience. Definitely.
It is. But that's, there's a bunch of activities we do and exercises. There's going to be like partner work, just some good topics. And it's interesting because what topics will activate something in one person, doesn't another person.
Right. Resonates with a different person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so everyone has a different topic that's going to bring up something for them.
Sure. What was I going to say? I think I was going to ask, do you have any cool stories of, past people that have done the retreat and then it just like transformed their lives afterwards?
Afterwards, I haven't heard a bunch from the people I've done. I stay in some contact with them and they love the experience or they become more outdoors. I think, how do I say it? Like, I guess the space I create is I'm not going to leave you hanging. So I think I see your growth as it happens. Something I offer also is like a group chat to way to stay in contact and integrate back into society. It's easy to be enlightened in the woods, but it's bringing those lessons back into your life. Like it's challenging.
It's a good point.
So I try to keep a group chat active with everyone who was there. So they have each other to lean on for support. And then as well as me to intervene in case there's any, it's just extra support. So when you're back, I don't know. I guess I never saw like a transformation night and day. Excuse me. But it's just being along the journey with them. So it feels like more of a mutual like brotherhood. Like it's just somebody who's on the path with me as well.
Yeah.
Do you ever have you ever experienced someone who maybe doesn't like say like, oh, this ain't for me, but by the end of the trip, it's a whole different story?
Yeah, there's a lot of resistance from a lot of people. I think as men, we are trained to have our shit together, or quote unquote, and put on these walls and this tough exterior. And so getting people to show up for themselves, that's a big challenge, but it's awesome to see when they break that down. And I think the difference between men's work and like traditional therapy is that like we're all doing it together. Like we're in this, like we're side by side. And that was a big point for me. It was like, I'd seen 7 therapists and it was just always the same, like, you need to do this. And like,
I've done therapy work before, and I feel like the thing about therapy, you learn the therapist as well. So you almost like are their therapy, like you're helping them help you.
Yeah.
So then you kind of like know what to say.
Of course.
So then you're like, is this really therapy for me, or is this kind of just like helping them like feel better about themselves? At least for my experience.
Well, like if I go back a lot in my life, so like this kind of is a segue into that, I guess, for me. But so as a kid, like I grew up with like the classic 90s divorce family, like super angry parents, like couldn't talk to each other. Ended up living with my mom, who was just an angry, woman scorned, who was just like won't talk to my dad to this day. Like it's pretty ridiculous. It's been 30 or 40 years or something. So 30 years. Wow. And so I quickly learned how to navigate the feminine that way, like how to manipulate and like sugarcoat or lie or do what I had to do to not get in trouble and also make sure like mom was okay. And so that built my relationship towards women, like at that point. And so then as like I got into the dating world, it was like, dude, I'm great with women. I'm great with girls. I can sweet talk my way through anything. Experience, of course, but it's like, it's all bullshit, right? Like it's all manipulative. It's all just so I can get validated and like, oh, she said I'm a good boy. Like, yes.
Placating.
Yeah, exactly. Like it was all just for selfish reasons. And so that's something I carried with me probably into my 30s for sure. So anyways, the point of where I was going with that, was that's what I would do with therapies as well. So I'm like seeing female therapists and it's like, I'm going to them to get validated as a, so my mom, mommy tells me I'm a good boy and that's all I'm hearing from therapists. Sorry, that was the whole point of that backstory.
No,
but
that's good backstory.
Yeah, sorry. But anyway, so that's where like I struggled and I didn't see any results with therapists because like, of course, like a therapist is telling me I'm great because I'm telling them everything they want to hear and they're like, they can't understand why, my wife would be mad at me or what I'm doing wrong. Right. So then I found that with the men's work, again, like I'm doing it side by side with someone, even like the coaches were like, hey, like I'm just as fucked up as you. It's okay. Like these are the things I've done wrong.
Right.
Like I've cheated or I've had affairs. Like, does that resonate with you? Like, this is what I did.
Right.
This is how I got through that, which was totally different, like a totally different experience. And so then being able to, resonate with someone else's experience and then have, 6 or 10 other guys by your sides who are all going through it.
Right.
I started to see that we all had the same roots, but like different branches, right? Yeah. Like we all had like some sort of abuse or some kind of trauma, but like, some of us drank, some of us, went for porn, some of us are like, I went for validation from women. Like that was my outlet. So, but anyway, so in the men's work, I found it more like I'm growing with you. And so I still get that experience, I think, as I don't want to say the guru, right? But the guy leading the retreats, it's like I'm still there doing it with them. And I'm not there to be like, hey, I'm better than you. Like I still have to tackle this mountain with you. Like this is going to bring up shit.
I have my own mountain
that's right.
I'm doing.
Like this is going to bring up stuff for me too. So this isn't like.
Yeah, it seems more reciprocated versus like therapy seems like you're almost talking to like a teacher or like someone that's like kind of above you. Yeah. It's like you're at a level playing field where you're like chatting with someone that's going through the same thing, so you can resonate with them a little better than, like chatting with like a mentor, like, you know what I mean? Like,
absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And it's a big part of it also, like the rules, we'll call it, of the men's group is like, don't give advice. Like we just share experiences. Like you're like, hey, I did this. Oh yeah. And you know what? I was there too. This is what I did. This is what worked. This is what didn't work. Yeah. But we're not there to like fix anybody. That's not our job. So our job is to just share our experiences.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the job of the therapist, is try to fix.
Right. Yeah. And it's like, and our job is
totally different dynamic. Yeah, right.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was, growing up, I was never like, therapy always got brought up, and, as the way I was raised is like, men don't cry, and, you deal with it. Therapy wasn't a thing. When people started bringing it up to me, I was never a believer of it. And one day, I think someone convinced me, and I'm like, oh, this is bullshit. Like, what am I doing here? But it did help in certain areas. Yeah. But I feel the bond that I had with certain friends that, like, we're friends, we bullshit, we share stuff, but you have those few that you share a little more with, and you open up to them about, whether it's something that happened in your childhood or something that you're going with your wife, or something your parents did growing up that still affects you. And it's just the conversation and the talk that helps more versus someone trying to fix you.
Well, like you said, yeah, exactly. You're putting that out there, and then almost like to a mirror, like it's getting reflected back to you. It's like, I'm gonna throw this out and then see, like, did someone hear me? Like, first of all, like being heard is a big one, right? Like, how many of us, especially as dudes, like, we don't get heard. Like, we want to talk to somebody, or we don't even feel like we can talk to someone, first of all. And then second of all, when we do, is like someone actually being like, oh, grow the fuck up. You know what I mean? Like, you know, that's literally, I'll be honest right now, my mom, that's the last time I talked to my mom, that's the last thing she said to me.
Damn.
I shared some stuff. I was like, what you're doing hurts me. And she was like, grow the fuck up. And I'm like, so that was like 5 years ago. I haven't talked to my mom, but yeah. But anyways, yeah, that's like the stigma put on us. And I think being able to be vulnerable and have that space and offer that space to people is huge, because I know many people don't have it. So it's like, it's good. So.
Yeah, and I think as I've gone to a retreat with my wife, and I mean it's cool to share, but I think when it's men, and especially how, you know, you said, you know, one shares and the other one shares, it's similar experiences, but it's different, and listening to, let's say, how Brian would deal with his situation might help me out with my situation. So, and in doing that with my group of friends, which is a few, it's like 3 of us, and, you know, there's my other friends that, you know, we bullshit, we joke around, but I wouldn't share a lot of that stuff with
absolutely.
them.
Like, I mean, we could all tell jokes for days, right? Like, they're hilarious. Like, it's funny, but it's at the same time, it's like, there's more to us than that, right? Like, and I totally get what you're saying, man. Yeah, sorry.
And I think as I grow older, I've realized too, you know, it's needed a lot more, because our worlds are like crazy now. Like, you know, you're doing 4 different things. He'll tell you, like, I'm always I get up at 4, get off at 6, and, you know, do my other stuff. So by the time I wind down, it's like bedtime, and I don't feel any rest until I meditate in the morning. So it's just like,
no, I relate, man.
I mean, nonstop.
Yeah, exactly.
No, and to go back what you were saying with the retreats with guys, yeah, it is a different experience for sure. And I think being in the wild and allowing that wild man part of you out as well. Like, when's the last time you screamed as loud as you could?
Yeah.
Like, scream from your balls. You know what I mean? Like, you know, or threw a rock, or just like went out and skipped rocks for an hour just because you could. You know, simple things like that they're these little boyhood experiences that we can still have. You know what I mean? Like, these are just part of us. It's our DNA, and it's just, I think getting a bunch of guys together and being able to do that is also powerful, and there's some bonding in there. And then having a conversation besides, you know, just shooting the shit is great. Yeah, I just want to circle back to that. Sorry, that's what I was going to say before, but I blanked on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, I don't know how you guys grew up, but, you know, everything, I mean, it's not cool to say it now, but, you know, back then, like, everything you did or said something to show that you cared to a friend was gay.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, oh, that's gay, bro. Get away from me, whatever. And nowadays, like, I feel more comfortable. Like, you know, if I see a friend, like, yo, bro, you good? Like, and I would never do that, like, in my 30s or 20s with a friend.
Yeah, I think I'd go as far as to say, is like, if I walked into you in public and you look like you're dealing with some shit, I'm like, man, you need a hug. Like, you know, like, think about that. Like, being a grown man, when's the last time you had somebody just hold you? You know what I mean? Like, you were probably like maybe 10 years old.
Yeah.
You know, like, I was going to say, like, I think women sometimes get that benefit. They can be held by their partner, but like, I don't know. I think about those sorts of things.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm a big dude. Like, there's not a lot of guys who could just hold me. But
yeah,
I know it sounds crazy, but like,
no, I know where you're coming from.
It's a fair broad up.
But you know what I mean? If you fully surrender and just like fall into somebody's arms, it's like crazy experience. Like, it's an interesting comfort that comes with that.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, when we had the Thomas fires here, you know, a lot of the media companies and one of the big promoters here, they had a big event at the in Ventura in downtown to raise funds, and a lot of the people that lost their homes and went through it bad were, they were there. Some were there, and I ran into a dude who was, backstage, and he was just excited that he was a part of it. And I forgot who he was talking to, but he got very emotional when he started sharing his story. And the guy that was talking to him gave him a hug, and he said exactly what you said. He's like, man, nobody's hugged me like this since I was 10 years old. And it was crazy to me because I was thinking like, man, this dude has been going through it. He lost his home. He's probably worried about what's next.
Yeah.
And, all he needed was a hug. And he mentioned when he said that I hadn't been hugged like this since I was a kid. So it was like, right now when you said that, it just like hit me like, man.
Oh no, it's powerful.
Yeah.
I'll share a hug story. Why not? Because I was freaking out at work, like stressed out about something or other. But like my boss, he's a little taller than me. He gave me a hug and I broke down crying. Like,
Wow.
It was kind of interesting. Like not the person I would expect to cry to, but that comfort just let me let loose.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, but yeah, it's the power, right? The power of something so simple.
Yeah. And everything we're talking about right now, it's like for some reason when it happens, like in your everyday, whether it's at the job, in the office, or walking in downtown somewhere, it's more uncomfortable for you taking them to the woods and doing all that. I think someone would open up more in a situation like that.
So yeah, there's something I think most of us don't realize. Like we can drive like 20 minutes away and be out of cell phone service, and you walk for 10 minutes and you're pretty much in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like we have that close to us, just getting that access and that confidence to go there. But there is something very powerful. Like how many times a day do you look at your phone, or like you sit down to go to the bathroom, like half the routine is looking at your phone,
Right.
or we're always on call. We get alerted for this or that. We're worried like, oh, my partner's texting me, my wife's texting me, my kids are texting me, like something's going on. But pulling all of that out to where like you literally can't deal with that aspect of life brings you into that present moment. And it's like now it's me versus myself versus the mountain. And that's giving everyone that experience. Now it's like us versus the mountain versus, what are we all dealing with? And we're going to get through this together. So it offers a really safe place for everybody, while maybe not physically safe, but like emotionally safe.
So the retreat that you went to in Canada, do you still keep in contact with anyone?
Oh yeah,
from
for
there?
sure. I do. And a lot of guys, one guy from there might go on one of my retreats. We'll see, which is cool. Like that's an awesome, like full circle. Like the fact that like he saw something in me, he's like, yeah, I want to experience what you have to offer. But yeah, I'm part of like a bigger group that put it on. And I've been part of that group since before that retreat, but it's grown to get like, I don't know, it's like 400 guys in it now. It's pretty big. But yeah, I do keep in contact with those guys. I have like, I'll call them my brothers. Like my actual brother, I don't have. He passed away in 2005. But so these guys are like what I've been longing for and being able to grow with emotionally, and have, some other guys to lean on that I like have that closeness. But yeah, I do. Anyways, long answer to the short question. Yes, I do keep in contact with those guys. Yes.
So, which leads me to you having to go to Canada to do that. Is there anything similar like that, or like what you're doing in around here, or you're
meaning? Well, like I have people traveling in from like everywhere, all over North America.
Because I know there's like similar things, but a lot of it is like church groups.
Got it,
and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's interesting you brought that up. That was my first exposure to like men's group. I was like, oh, that's like a church guy thing, But reality, it can be, I'm sure, but like for me, it's not. All my experience with it, it's not. It's a bunch of, we'll call it like training, right? Like it's not therapy, it's training for all of us. What was I going to say? But you were asking if
If there's other similar ones, not. I
I
know
don't-
that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I honestly don't know. Most of like what I look at, I mean, there's some booking sites that I try to advertise on, and it seems like most things are like out in the jungle, like in Costa Rica or Hawaii. There's a little bit of luxury mixed in. Like mine is definitely the polar opposite. Like it's, you know, it's rugged. It's gonna suck. It's not gonna be a vacation in a lot of ways. Like not suck, but it's gonna be rewarding. You know what I mean? Like it's
challenging.
It's gonna be challenging, physically and emotionally demanding for sure. But yeah, I don't know of any other ones like what I'm doing in that scope. So.
Gotcha.
And I like the way you mentioned earlier when I asked you about what the vision was and what it is now, is like you kind of threw in things that you were into to put it together. And I know sometimes like I get invited to like certain things, similar things, and that's my first question. Not that I have anything against religion or men's groups in the church or anything, but you know, sometimes it's like just having the I don't know what to call it, the bro talk.
Yeah, no, and it's interesting how we all want to edit ourselves for like the quote unquote church people, right?
Yeah.
Like no offense to church people out there. I've heard positives and negatives, you know, from all walks of life, from everything. But yeah, I know what you mean. But it's definitely, you can come out and be who you want to be. You can show up as the man you want to be. Like you don't have to put on any masks. Like whoever you are, like you want to come out as Mambo, like come on, man. Like let's see what you got. I had a guy after a cold plunge who wanted to go, you know, warm his junk over the fire, and like that was cool, man. Like go for it. You know what I mean? Like
Do your thing.
have your experience. Well, it's
Be a dude.
I like
Be
to
a dude.
allow everyone to have their own experience, right?
Right.
And then if it bothers me for some reason, then it's like, okay, let me lead with love and curiosity. Let me see why is it bothering me, and then go through that first, because it has nothing to do with that person. Like, you know, they can do whatever they're gonna do as long as it's not hurting anyone else. Like, you know, it's great.
So I like to ask questions for people that are just starting their journey, where it's just like an idea, and then they're trying to get to that like first step of like making it. Like we were talking to Sky, and she was like trying to make a YouTube channel. She hasn't even started yet. So that first trip that you took, did you feel any like imposter syndrome? That's something that we've kind of like gone over with a couple of different podcasts, but how did you conquer that? And like, how have you changed or evolved from that first trip to now? And like, what was going through your head like at that first trip? Like, were you like, can I even do this? Or like,
I think we can reframe imposter syndrome as just like, we're just afraid of the unknown. Like if we really break it down, like we don't know what's going to happen, and that's why we're scared. You know, and basically it's like for our own survival, it's like, well, we want to fit in. So if I don't fit in, or if I'm unknown, if I'm going to be accepted, then, you know, it gets really simple, I think, in my mind for that, because I've had to face a lot of challenging things, even with school and internships. And so getting out into the wild with people, it was kind of like, they believe me enough to get out here.
oh, okay.
All I have to do is just be me.
So you had the confidence of you knowing your camping skills and your outdoor skills were going to carry you at least to that point.
Exactly.
And then you were like, hey, as long as they trust me from there, I can do my thing.
It's like if now it almost comes into whoever's showing up. It's like, how are they going to show up? And that's going to make their experience. Like if they want to put in a lot, they're going to get a lot out of it. You know, if they want to be closed off and zipped up, then it's, you know, you're not going to get much.
So you already had that mentality going in.
I had to reframe it for myself. I think it was kind of a pep talk, but almost like, I don't know if you guys have ever tried to get like 5 dudes together to go do something, but it's the hardest thing.
It's tough.
So if I've got, you know, 5 or 6 guys coming out, like I've already got the hardest part out of the way. You know, that to me is the hard part, is because everyone says it sounds cool and everyone knows it'll be cool, but until they're out there doing it, like they really
they're
don't
physically there.
Yeah, you know, and that's probably the hardest part, I would say. That's where like being out there, I'm comfortable. It's more getting people out there is where my like fear of the unknown is. It's like, how do I get people to trust me enough at this small interactions or what they've seen or what they know of me to then, I hate to say the buy into me, but you know, believe in me.
You kind of have to, right?
Like, that's it. So
there's a lot of trust that happens there.
I mean, it's the mountains can be dangerous. Like death is an option, going out there. It's like, that's a risk everyone has to accept. Like that's something I have to accept when I go out. Now, do I try to keep it safe? Yes. Like, am I pushing people extra hard? No. Like I try to make it mellow. Through feedback, I've broken up trails to make them a little more manageable for people who aren't as experienced. I try to make it as user-friendly as possible.
Yeah.
And that goes like on all aspects, like for logistics and equipment, you're getting top of the line gear because it works better. Like,
right.
I'll pick you up at the airport, like just so it's easier for you. I'm paying for your hotels, so you don't have to think about it. Like all those things are just handled for you. So it really comes down to making a good user experience for
really
people.
Just have to show up then.
Yeah, it's really just bring your clothes and like whatever trail mix you like, and then that's it. Like, so.
Yeah, that's cool. So, sorry, we talked about the beginning. What's in the future? Where are you trying to take it? And like, what's your vision moving forward with the company?
I think, like in my mind, I would love to do like 8 months, like every other weekend, like 2 a month for 8 months a year would be my like ideal. Can I get 100 people to buy into me? I don't know, maybe. But I think that once people get out and have this experience and then they hear other people talking about this experience, like it's life-changing in a lot of ways. Especially if you've never been out in the wild. But I mean, if you know anyone who goes backpacking, all they talk about is going backpacking again because they don't want to be back, or like they come back from a weekend out and they're like,
do that
they're
again.
like a zombie because their heads are floating away somewhere in the mountains.
Yeah.
So, there's that aspect, plus the powerful work of doing that with other people, and then the bonds that are created. Like, there's a part of me imprinted on every guy I've taken out, and there's also a part of them imprinted on me. So of some sort of experience, whatever it is, but it's like we did something together that not everyone's doing.
Yeah,
and that's
you
cool.
can never take that away.
That's
yeah.
right.
So I know you're going to school, you're getting your engineering degree. How does that come into play with what you're doing now? Are you just kind of juggling it until you can't, and then?
I don't know. I don't have the answer. I know I'll be a good engineer. I really enjoy what I do there. It makes sense with how my brain works. But what's really interesting is I don't think I could have even gotten into engineering without the emotional maturity I gained through doing the men's work. I think and this is what's an awesome part about being, 40 years old and being in school with 20-year-olds, is like I can offer that wisdom of like, hey, there's a lot of responsibility with the tools you're given. Like if you mess up, like you kill a lot of people.
Yeah.
If you design something wrong or you cut corners, like.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Yeah. Well, that's, the argument is like, oh, doctors are the most powerful. It's like, you know what engineers do, right? Like if you mess up a building, or like look at Boeing, right? Like,
it's a good point.
That's, it's putting people in danger. So no offense, Boeing. I'm not an engineer with you. So. If you have me work for you, I might. So.
I'll fix things. Don't worry.
But I think along both journeys, they've kind of played into each other. Because through engineering, you take a lot of physics. I had to take quantum physics and like learn how the universe works. Calculus is us trying to understand the universe, right? Like figuring it out. That's the language. And this kind of blends back into like the guest you had on, Val, was talking about like that manifestation and how everything's connected. It's like learning how the universe is put together, and it's like all this just the same shit everywhere, and like we're made of that as well as the table here and the stars and everything. It's like we're all just stardust. So it's like feeling connected to something or being a part of something that's like we are quintessential to. Like we aren't like from Earth, we are of Earth. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
and so
I like that.
That's like what I've learned through the engineering journey that translates really well into like I'll say path to enlightenment, but like I'm not going to be a monk or anything like that. I'm just, they just play really well to each other. Like it helps me understand both better.
Yeah, I like that. Good answer.
Yeah. And, when you mentioned how uncomfortable you were when you went to Canada.
Mm-hmm.
I always feel that when someone feels uncomfortable, that's when they're learning or something shifting in them. So when you said that whole trip was uncomfortable until you were actually there, and then you shared, that's when I asked you about your vision, and to see what you're doing now is amazing to me, just because I've always noticed that every uncomfortable situation for me has shifted into something I've been wanting to do, or getting myself out of that comfort zone to feel uncomfortable and make shit happen.
Well, I think I want to imprint part of that onto people as far as this whole experience. Like my initial idea was like, I'm going to interview you. Let's say you want to do a retreat. Like, you apply with me. I'm going to interview you and be like, hey man, are you ready to train for like 3 months? Like, get some discipline, like have that be part of the process, right? Like, how many of us have lacked discipline? And discipline, I think, has such a negative connotation for a lot of us. Like, growing up, like, you're going to be disciplined, and it was such a bad thing. But like, really, it's like the best form of self-love. Mm-hmm. It's like, I'm going to do these things regularly to take care of myself. Like, I'm going to be disciplined and work out and eat right and meditate and, have my routine. But that's a powerful experience. Like, if you can develop that and then go use what you've been working on out and see how that shows up in the world. Like, if you trained for 3 months and then went out and were able to climb a mountain, you're like, wow, that was like awesome. Like, I'm happy I trained. Like, that was really rewarding. You're going to come out of this experience just beaming. Like, it's going to be a lot of resistance going in. Like, when I went into Canada, I was nervous. I was kind of shy. But when I got on that plane ride home, like, other than being sad, I felt huge. I felt untouchable. Like, I was glowing.
Sad that it was over?
Yeah. I mean, like, I'd gone through some shit, man. Like, I sat, I sat on a bearskin rug in a group with like 16 guys, like just a mush of tears, like, as I was, crying about my relationship to my mom and like how, I just wanted to be fucking held as a kid or like be accepted. But,
so do you recommend that people go like solo to these retreats, like by themselves? Not saying that I'm going by myself, but like, I'm not bringing any of the people that I know with me to like open up more, or are you kind of like anyone goes, just bring your homies?
I would say anyone goes, obviously, but I think you will get more out of it if it's experience of the unknown for you. Like, without those comforts,
right?
Like with the hotel rooms, like they're shared hotel rooms, so like you might be you get with a stranger and be like, that could be super confronting for you.
Right.
And that's some shit you got to get through.
Yeah.
Like, how is that going to affect somebody? Like, what is their attitude going in? Like, the ride into the mountains usually a lot quieter than the ride out of the mountains. You know what I mean? Like, everyone's a little more reserved. Some people have, the fear of the unknown or the imposter syndrome. Like, you go on some of these retreats and like some people are, in society, we'd say they're like well-to-dos, or they're like CEOs, or they're like some, someone from somewhere. But like out there, like, it doesn't matter. Like, we're all just men. Like, we're all
same level.
Yeah, like, we're all just, like I said before, we're all as messed up as everyone else. So it's all the same. But that stuff can get in the way. Like, those things will get in people's way. So be like, well, what am I supposed to be doing here? Like, for me, I was like, I'm just a grocery worker. Like, I can't be here with all these guys like own their companies, are billionaires, and like, so shutting that noise down and then just opening up as, hey, we're all just brothers. Like, this is cool. So.
Yeah. I could see some reservations or fronts that you'd go in if I brought like, my friends or something like that. And then I'm like not opening up because I'm just like, well,
you'll hold back on certain
you hold
things,
back on some certain things.
Well, if you don't want your guy to know, like,
I mean, like, if I took my brother, like, I'd find comfort in that relationship instead of like learning about you or learning about other people in the group and stuff like that,
But do you think, like, let's say you came out with your brother, with me, what could you guys open up about together? Because you guys had a lot of shared experiences, like with your parents. Like, that's something I've been longing for that I'll never get. Like, with my brother, I was like, as a grown man now, like, he'd be 42, and it's like, I would love to like talk about, what was it like dealing with mom? Because like, he turned to drugs. Like, I turned to women validation and women, he turned to drugs. And it was like, that ended him. but it's like, what conversations could I have with him now about that?
Yeah, I guess it depends on like what you're trying to get out of it. Like if it is to like understand more about my family from a different perspective with my brother, then I'd probably invite him. But if it's more like conquering my own mountain, I feel like that would get in the way. I mean, you only got so much time when you're on these retreats, right?
But
so
we also have time to talk on the trails. You know what I mean? Like we're hiking. A lot of good conversation comes out of that. And I'll give you like a topic a lot of the times. You know, something that will, I mean, for example, like one I have up on Instagram. It's like, what was your first sexual experience? And then how has that showed up later in your life? And like some people's first sexual experience is like they were molested by a priest or, you know what I mean? Like, or by their neighbor or by their parents. Like, so how does that affect how they show up everywhere else in their life, you know, or as far as what is their relationship to sex? You know, some people are shamed for having a penis. So it's like, you know, it's just interesting to see like what comes out of these topics, you know, and it's, if people can really let it out, it's like, then they can see what they're holding on to.
Right.
So that's like a for instance, but like, you know, that'll lead to like we'll gather up, we'll have a conversation about it, you know, get through it. I also provide everyone with a journal. So like you can write stuff down, take notes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like you thought of everything.
I will.
Like a journal, like all the stuff that you got to bring.
When you mentioned you provide everything, you do. And one thing when you asked about, you know, bringing your homies or bringing someone, and even just having this conversation here is I feel like going by yourself, it's like, it's, you know, your story is different than your brother's, you know, my story is different than yours. So like, you know, even if we're going together to try to work something else out, you know, or something together, other shit's going to come up that, you know, that you haven't dealt with. Or, so I mean, I would think I would go by myself in something like this.
Yeah. I think there's some freedom in that, I would say, but it's also very empowering. Like you're able to let down a little bit, you know what I mean? Because you've probably put on a certain persona for the people in your family, whether you like it or not. You know what I mean? Like you acted a certain way. I know I did for a long time, and then I stopped, and then like I got a lot of resistance from my parents. They were kind of like, the fuck is this guy? I'm like, no, this is just me, guys. Like,
yeah, exactly.
I'm not trying to please you anymore.
Right. Yeah. No, it's powerful.
Yeah, man, this is a great conversation. So how can people look up your website, and how can people follow you on Instagram?
Okay, so my website is primalpolarbear.com, and then my Instagram is primalpolarbear.adventures. Yeah, I'll post stuff from retreats up there. You know, there's some things to see. I'm trying to put one together for May 30th through June 1st, a local one here. I would invite you guys as well. If you want to go, you're welcome. I've got gear for you. But
where are you guys headed?
Just out in the Los Padres up here. So probably go, I don't know, like 10 miles in, just far enough to feel like we're in the middle of nowhere. But yeah, just like a 3 days, 2 nights. And then same thing, gear is provided, food is provided. So only thing here is it could be smoking hot. Who knows? That sometimes is a little rough, but
that's part of it.
That's part of the
sweat lodge.
That's right. So, but yeah, other than that though, you can look up. I have some dates coming up in July, August, September. So last one of the year is the beginning of September up in the Sierras.
Is it seasonal? Is it the only time frame that you do it?
So local, I'll do more from like, let's say February to May, and then in the summers in the big mountains.
Okay,
so
gotcha.
Just for temperature, because here it starts to get too hot, the water starts to dry up. So.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right, so hit up the website, hit up the Instagram, and check out some of those dates if you're interested. Anything else you want to put out there?
I just want to say thank you guys for having me.
Oh yeah,
it's been awesome chatting with you guys. So thank you.
Thank you for being here, and make sure you give them a follow on Instagram. Give us a follow at Persistence Culture. Keep moving.